The Essence of Meditation. Chapter 12. The Science of Meditation. When I first began compiling my articles on meditation into a book, I decided to name it The Essence of Meditation. That was because the main purpose of this book is to discuss the biological essence of meditation, which is exactly what I am attempting to uncover here. However, when I shared the initial draft of the book with some readers, I received a response from Dr. Stephen Sloman, a psychology professor at Brown University, who said, "I enjoyed your book. It's a very interesting perspective on meditation. It feels nicely scientific and concrete. However, I don't like the title of the book because I'm not much of a believer in essences. Since most of the claims you make in the book are hypotheses and theories, rather than facts, why not call your book The Science of Meditation?" I believe that most readers would find themselves somewhat puzzled by this comment. If I acknowledge that most claims in the book are hypotheses and theories, rather than facts, then the original title, The Essence of Meditation, does indeed seem somewhat inappropriate. But even if I were to consider a title change, would a new title such as The Hypotheses of Meditation or The Theories of Meditation be more appropriate than The Science of Meditation? That is because, for most people, science is synonymous with facts and truth. In everyday life, we often hear people say, "That's not scientific," by which they mean that something is incorrect. However, that might actually be one of our biggest misunderstandings about science. Karl Popper, hailed as one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century, argued that scientific theories or propositions cannot be proven true, but can only be falsified. He further pointed out that only theories or propositions that can be falsified are scientific, while those that cannot be falsified are non-scientific. In other words, the criterion for distinguishing between science and non-science is falsifiability. One classic example of Popper's argument is the white swan hypothesis. Before the discovery of black swans, although people had only seen white swans, they could not confirm the hypothesis that all swans are white. However, that did not prevent that proposition from being a scientific hypothesis, because the discovery of a swan of any different color would easily falsify that hypothesis. Of course, after the discovery of black swans, one could propose a new hypothesis that all swans are either white or black. Similarly, until swans of colors other than white and black are found, that new hypothesis would be scientific. However, statements like, "There are golden swans in the world," are considered non-scientific because they can never be proved wrong, that is, falsified. Popper's theory can indeed help us to effectively distinguish between science and non-science. It also offers an important insight: science does not equal truth. In other words, something being scientific does not guarantee its correctness, and conversely, something being non-scientific does not necessarily guarantee its incorrectness. For example, if someone dreams of golden swans and firmly believes that there must be golden swans in the world, that does not necessarily make that person wrong, but the belief is non-scientific. As a matter of fact, many human activities are non-scientific, such as religion, art, and philosophy. While those activities cannot be falsified, the way scientific hypotheses can, they also cannot be labeled as wrong. For instance, people would not say that Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa is wrong just because it's a work of art and not a scientific fact. To determine whether the hypotheses and theories presented in this book are scientific or non-scientific, let's apply Popper's criterion to them. The first, most important, and boldest hypothesis that I propose in this book is that the biological nature of meditation keeps the mind awake, while letting the body fall asleep. In other words, meditation is sleep. It is awake sleep. It is sleeping with consciousness. To confirm that meditation is sleep, we would need to measure all known physical variables in the body, such as heart rate, and all known chemical variables in the body, such as hormone secretion levels, and compare their changes during meditation and sleep to see if they align. Even if one could find that all these known variables have matching values in meditation and sleep, one still could not conclusively state that meditation is the same as sleep. That is because the human body is a supercomplex system with an enormous number of physical and chemical variables, with new variables constantly emerging as science progresses. In other words, one can never be certain that one has comprehensively identified and validated all physiological variables in the human body. If it is impossible to prove that meditation is sleep, it is relatively easy to falsify that hypothesis. If any physical or chemical variable in the body behaves differently during meditation than during sleep, one can conclude that meditation is not the same as sleep. For example, as mentioned in the previous chapter, human hibernation, while both meditation and sleep can lower heart rate and slow breathing, the heart rate and breathing rate during extremely deep meditation can become even lower than during regular sleep. Thus, merely based on the differences in these two variables, one can easily refute the hypothesis that meditation is the same as sleep. That is precisely why, in the previous chapter, I redefined the biological nature of meditation as keeping the mind awake while allowing the body to fall asleep, or even enter a hibernation-like state. Another important theory presented in this book is that the specific method for achieving meditation is to maintain stillness in the body, so that the body's built-in sensors cannot detect any muscle movement. With enough time and practice, one's brain, or more accurately, one's unconscious brain, mistakenly believing that one has fallen asleep, will gradually shut down both one's motor and sensory nerves, inhibiting the sympathetic nerves while stimulating the parasympathetic nerves. That ultimately leads one's body into a completely relaxed state of sleep. However, that theory could easily be falsified if any method were discovered that allows meditation through movement instead of stillness. In fact, in the chapter entitled Stillness and Movement, I used the example of walking meditation to falsify the earlier theory that the only way to achieve meditation is to maintain stillness in the body. Instead, I proposed a modified version of that theory, which suggests that the sensors in the body, like the sensors in smartwatches, are actually acceleration sensors, which measure change of speed, not velocity sensors, which only measure speed. That is to say, stillness and uniform linear motion are the same for those sensors, because their acceleration is zero. That explains why uniform linear motion, like walking meditation, and stillness have the same effect, since one's unconscious brain mistakenly thinks that one is asleep because it cannot detect any acceleration of one's muscles and thus lets one's body go into a sleep state. Furthermore, the new theory that human sensors measure acceleration rather than velocity also suggests that the sensors in the human body are not highly sensitive. That means that so long as the acceleration of body movements is kept within a small range, even nonlinear or non-uniform linear movements may cause one's unconscious brain to mistakenly assume that one is asleep, because it cannot detect sufficient acceleration. From that new theory, we can draw the conclusion that practices like Tai Chi or Qigong, so long as they are practiced slowly, can achieve the effect of meditation. Or, to make the point more bluntly, Tai Chi and Qigong are essentially forms of meditation. Additionally, in the chapter, The Ultimate Method, I pointed out that we can enter meditation solely by keeping the body still, and that the various elaborate meditation methods, such as observing the breath, thoughts, sensations, etc., are not necessary. The only purpose of those methods is to help us maintain bodily stillness. So, how can the theory that we can enter meditation solely by keeping the body still be falsified? That's quite simple. We could conduct a survey of the guards stationed at palaces or military posts who have cumulatively stood guard for over 1,000 hours, to see how many of them have spontaneously entered a state of complete bodily relaxation, which is characteristic of meditation. In theory, if even one guard fails to enter that state spontaneously, the theory would be falsified. However, Since the requirement of 1,000 hours to enter meditation is itself hypothetical, we could tolerate a small percentage of guards who do not enter the meditative state. As we can see from the discussion above, all the hypotheses and theories presented in this book remain unverified, and can never be verified. However, each one of them can easily be falsified. In other words, I cannot guarantee the correctness of every hypothesis and theory in this book, but I can guarantee that each one is scientific. Therefore, I have decided to accept the suggestion made by Professor Sloman to change the title of this book to The Science of Meditation.